What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Double SMFL podcast. We apologize for no draft streams.
Yeah,
We were busy.
yeah, we were both busy, but we're now here Friday, May 6th, and we're gonna present to you our draft grades for this season. And Sam, why don't you start off with Doug Peterson's Eagles? Jags.
They could have went a lot. This could have been a lot worse for the Jacksonville. I disagree with the Trayvon Walker pick. I feel like they would have been better off going offensive line or going
Hutch.
Hutchinson. But that's fine. That's fine.
What grade are you gonna give them? You can write it in that thing. Get just for all the screen.
I'm gonna give him B minus.
B minus. Okay. All right.
I do like their Devin Lloyd pick at 27.
I love that pick, and that's kind of the saving grace here. Trayvon Walker was a D minus pick in my opinion. Like he's really, really raw, and he has a ton of work to do as well. Like potential upside is there. That's why it's not a complete F, but they Balky and Peterson, they whiffed on this pick. The next four picks I loved though. Chad Muma, Devin Lloyd, Luke Frenier. Well, that's three picks, but still just some depth guys later in the draft. Nothing special, but nothing terrible. So with that being said, I'm also gonna give it a B minus. All right, on to Dan Campbell's Lions. Sam?
I loved what they did. Especially in the first and second round. They got quality players to build around. Aiden Hutchinson is perfect for Detroit.
He's a perfect culture fit. Dan Campbell is going to absolutely love him.
I'm going to go A minus.
A minus? Listen, I love the Hutch pick, but trading up for Jameson Williams, I don't think that was necessary. You could have gotten Pickens at like 32 or something. Like they didn't have to give up much.
But JMO was the much better prospect.
He is the much better prospect,
and I think Detroit's going to tank this year for a quarterback.
I think they'll be third in their division, but we'll get to that another time. Like I don't think they're that bad, but they could probably they have the assets to trade up for in the draft next year.
I could see them sneaking into the playoffs, but I could also see them being the worst team in football.
I think they pick like anywhere from.
They had a very quality offseason to me.
Anywhere from 9 to 12, they'll probably pick next year. But I give this draft a B plus. It's pretty solid. A couple picks here and there that I didn't love, but overall, it's a pretty solid job by Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes.
The Houston Texans, they were number 3, and I can't complain exactly what they did. I like Derek Stingley. They needed fucking everything. Let's be honest.
Yeah, except for quarterback. I'm a huge Mills guy, and
I'm very happy with their selections. Jalen Peter is nice.
Oh, I love him coming out of Baylor. He's
I did think they reached, however, on Kenyon Green.
When I saw that pick, I was like, what is going through their mind? Like, I don't get that pick whatsoever.
I mean, they could have picked anything and it would have been improvement, but
yeah. What would you give them?
I'll give them a B.
All right. As much as I think Stingley can be the best corner in this draft, I think Sauce was a much safer pick for them. They could have gone Evan Neal, Ikem Ekwonu, Kyle Hamilton, even. Like, Stingley was a miss here at 3. I think it's a bit of a reach. And
I understand why they did.
No, I completely understand why they did. I'm just not saying they should have done it. And Kenyon Green was a head scratcher. John Mechie I didn't love, but then it got pretty good. I mean, before Jalen Petrie was a great pick. He can play corner, safety, anywhere you want. Secondary. Christian Harris is a solid pick. So overall, slightly below average, but I'm not going to say it's horrible. I'll give it a C plus.
New York Jets. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start with my team. And man, I'm so happy. This franchise we might not make the playoffs this year, but we're turning it around. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh did a hell of a job in this draft. Only pick I didn't really love was Brees Hall. I don't think it was a necessary pick, especially with guys like Perion Winfrey, Jaquan Brisker on the board, but it's not the end of the world, and I'm still going to
I understand why they did. I wouldn't. A running back duo of Michael Carter and Brees Hall could destroy AFC East defenses.
It could be the best in football, but like it's still a running back at the end of the day. But other than that, I loved her draft. Absolutely phenomenal. A.
I'm going to give him an A as well.
All right, Sam.
All right.
You start.
My New York Giants. They had a great first round.
And then the rest.
Kayvon Thibodeau fell right into their laps. And then they got Evan Neal at 7. Evan Neal wasn't my ideal pick at 7. I wanted Ekwonu.
But Ekwonu went to Carolina, obviously.
Ekwonu went to Carolina, which I'm not mad they got Evan Neal. But after the first round is where we get into the territory.
Yeah, kind of got
Wan'Dale Robinson was a reach. Especially when wasn't what's his face still on the board? Pickens
was on the board. Alec Pierce was on the board, who I like a lot. Yeah.
Other than that, it wasn't really great selections. I liked Cordell Flott.
I absolutely loved Darion Beavers in the 6th, I believe. Absolutely phenomenal value pick there, and he should be he should find his way into a starting role at some point this or next
Maybe
season.
When Blake Martinez's contract expires.
Yeah. What would you give them though?
B+. I think they had a better draft than the Texans.
I'm going to give them a B solely because I think their 2nd round pick could have been an instant impact player. And I think Wan'Dale is a Kadarius Toney clone, but it's not a terrible.
Well, he's going to be the Kadarius Toney replacement when they trade him for a 5th round pick.
I do not think they're going to trade him. He seems perfectly happy in New York. All right.
Carolina Panthers. They did not go quarterback here. Oh, well, yes, they did. They got back Corral.
In the 3rd.
The 3rd. I don't mind that pick. Maybe he'll start next year. Not 2022, 2023.
Oh, yeah. He'll definitely start.
I think Sam Darnold will start this year.
I think
results will. I don't know.
I don't think they'll be pretty good at all, but I think that
overall, I liked Carolina's draft. I'm even B.
You know, Ikem Ekwonu was a great pick, and it was a good move for Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer not to go QB at 6 because there weren't any quarterbacks worthy of that draft position this year. And grabbing a prospect, even though I'm not a fan of Corral, in the 3rd round, it's still solid value. I like Brandon Smith too. He needs to refine his game a bit, but he's still high potential guy, and I think it's a pretty solid draft. I'm going to give it a B+. All right, I'll start with Chicago now, and man, did they mess up big time here. So I heard from somewhere that Velius Jones, receiver they picked in the 3rd, was Fields' top choice, but I don't really believe that. It's just it's a matter of like who's going to help the team and who's not, and I don't think 2 secondary players too are gonna. Their goal.
Their secondary fucking sucked last year. Let's be honest.
But
was it?
But Pickens was on the board. They could have gone O-line. That offense is an absolute mess right now, aside from David Montgomery.
I don't approve of waiting until the 5th round to address offensive line.
And the players they took in the 5th round aren't even going to start anyway. So that's the big issue here.
And they drafted a punter.
Yeah. What would you give them?
C.
Okay. I give them a D just because.
Actually, C-.
just because they're simply failing Justin Fields. Like it reminds me a lot of the Jets and Sam Darnold, the situation. All right, Atlanta,
I mean,
Take
the
it.
Jets tried to help him out in 2019,
2019, but like
and then it all fell to shit. Adam
Yeah.
Gase happened. We'll leave it at that. The Atlanta Falcons, they had an interesting draft. They filled their desperate need at wide receiver with Drake London, albeit a little bit of a reach, but they got who they wanted.
it was a reach, yes, and I'm not going to ignore that. But at the same time, their number one receiver going into the year was Auden Tate.
They had to draft receiver
Yeah.
first or second round.
Otherwise, I thought they had a decent draft. Honestly, I like the Arnold Vet pick. I like the Desmond Ritter pick. I like the Troy Anderson pick. Tyler Algier.
I would have went with Willis but Ritter's fine.
Yeah, I like the Tyler Algier pick too. So, like that first pick kind of hurts it a bit, but it's not a bad draft by any means. I'm gonna give it a B. What about you?
I'll give it a B.
All right.
Denver Broncos. They did not have a first round pick because the Russell Wilson trade.
Are we gonna factor in like trades for this? Like if they traded for a player or no?
No.
Okay.
They did not dress offensive line at all, but their offensive line was already pretty good to begin with.
It's solid, yeah.
I did appreciate that. I did like Nick Bonito.
And I love Greg Dulcich out of UCLA, filling Noah Fant's departure at tight end.
The draft was all right.
It's a C caliber draft for me. What would you give it?
I'm gonna give it a C plus.
C plus. All right.
Actually, can you change the Texans grade for me to C plus?
Why?
I felt like the Texans and Broncos had like the same level of actually B minus for the Texans.
Fair. All right, on to Seattle now.
Seattle Seahawks. I loved the cross pick. I think they're banking on getting a QB next year.
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of good ones.
Stroud, Young, Will Levis, a ton of them. Rattler, even honestly,
I don't like the Kenneth Walker pick.
We'll get into it when I talk about it, but I despise that pick, and that's what's going to bring the break.
Kenneth Walker's a good player, but he went to the wrong team. Especially since didn't they just re-sign Chris Carson?
Re-signed Rashad Penny. Chris
Penny.
Carson is healthy. Like they have 3 running backs, Cable being the one there, where they still had a lot of other needs. Like at that point in the draft, I would have even gone with someone like Trey McBride over him. I would have gone corner. In this spot. I would have gone Andrew Booth. He was right there in their lap, and they passed on him. Otherwise, I like their draft, but it could have been better.
B minus.
B minus. I give them a B. All right.
Washington Commanders. Jahan Dotson at 16 was a reach.
It was a reach, and
if they were going to go to the receiver, why trade down?
Yeah, they could have gotten.
They could have just straight up got
Kyle Hamilton, Williams, McDuffie.
Olave.
Olave was kind of a reach, but we'll get to that at New Orleans.
If they were to get a wide receiver, then why didn't they just take Olave at 11?
It does not make sense to me what Ron was thinking there.
Or JMO. I don't get it.
Yeah. I like the Sam Howell pick. He was my QB1 in the draft, but their draft confused me. I don't get drafting a running back.
The Washington Commanders, they're just at that point where we don't know what the fuck they're doing. We don't know what the direction is. They're in a division where they could just win it by default.
But I think if it doesn't go well this season, they're going to go full rebuild mode.
They're third in the NFC East to me.
They're probably to me. They're probably four to me. Honestly, even it's a toss up between them
Worse
and
than the
Giants.
Giants.
Yeah, just because of that secondary scares me a lot.
Their secondary is pretty bad. I'm gonna
Alright.
go C plus for their draft.
You know, there are a couple of drafts around the year that I think are very overhated, and I was thinking this in the beginning, but no, I'm gonna give it a D plus just because they reached too many times. Like I don't get the Robinson pick at all.
Actually, scratch that. Make it a C. Just straight up C.
Should I see? All right. Minnesota.
I like their secondary picks. I like Lewis Sid and I like
love
Andrew
Booth.
Booth.
Yeah. I like the. Actually, no. I don't know. I feel like Ed Ingram was a reach.
Ed Ingram was a reach, but I feel like it was a necessary reach.
Yeah. They did draft a lot of O-line last year, though, so that's what kind of.
I'll give it a B minus.
Sam.
Cleveland.
They didn't have much to work with.
No, they didn't. They gave all their picks to Houston.
Yeah. But from
I
what
do like
saw,
David Bell.
love David Bell. I love Perrion Winfrey. That's one of my favorite picks of the whole entire draft.
They
Didn't get
picked the
turned-
kicker in the 4th round.
Yeah, that didn't quite make sense to me, but they don't have many needs at all, so kind of.
No, they don't.
I give them a C by default, kind of. What about you?
I'll give him a C plus.
C plus.
I
Oh,
think they did all right with the picks they had.
all right. I'll start with this, and oh man, did they crush this draft?
They did
First-
crush this draft.
First round, John Harbaugh, Eric DeCosta, just scrolling down, like seeing what's on the board. Kyle Hamilton's there at 14. Tyler Linden Brown, best center in the draft, and they get him at 25.
I'm
Instant-
concerned with the David Ojabo pick. I know why they picked him.
I think once healthy, he's potential to be the best pass rusher in this draft. I don't think he will be, but the upside is certainly there. That's why I love it.
Travis Jones is a good pick.
Love Travis Jones for the interior D line. Did they re-sign Calais Campbell?
They did.
Yeah, so him and Campbell form a nice duo inside there. I like the likely pick. They went punter, which I don't really get, but other than that, they aced this draft for the most part. I'm gonna give it an A plus.
I'm going to give him an A plus too. I think they have the best draft.
Yeah, Sam. All right, Indianapolis Colts.
You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start with this one. They didn't have a first. Wait, why?
Thank you, Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. For a 1-year rental of Wentz, they got rid of for. But I like what Chris Ballard's doing overall. Alec Pierce was a solid pick. He's a pretty dynamic player, and then needed someone alongside Pittman. T.Y. Hilton's horrible now. I hate to say it, but I love the Nick Cross pick in the late third too. Excellent value there. Some depth picks overall, but
I love Bernard Raymond.
Oh, I forgot they got him too. Yeah, I'm gonna give this draft a B.
I'll give it a B too.
All right, you start with New Orleans.
New Orleans Saints. I like Olave.
Just think
They didn't have a lot of picks to work with because they traded up twice. Well, no, they didn't trade up with the 19. Well,
yeah,
technically they did.
with the Commanders, but I thought they would go. I thought they would go like Jameson Williams here. Like it didn't make sense to pick Olave here. That's my issue.
Overall, they didn't have many picks. They only had 5 picks in this draft. For what they had, I'll give them a B.
Alontae Taylor was a head scratcher too. Who did they pick third round?
They did not have a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, they
They didn't draft again until round 5.
Yeah, they didn't do much, but they did sign the Honey Badger this week, so uh, he'll be a bit
Actually, I'll
more
give him a B minus.
B minus. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a C minus. I just think they could have done better at each of their picks. LA.
The LA Chargers. I like Zion Johnson. I don't like waiting until round 5 to get a defensive tackle or the run stuffer.
They did add Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day. That's why I think
They
kind
did. Yes, I forgot about that.
yeah.
Isaiah Spiller was a questionable pick, but
But
fourth round.
they needed an RB2 badly. Like Joshua Kelly's awful. There's no way around that.
Justin Jackson.
He hasn't. He's better as like a. I don't know. Just like I thought, like he brings like Eckler's kind of injury prone too, and Spiller could be an RB1 if needed, maybe. But I'm not. I think it was fine draft by then. I'll give them a B minus.
I'll give him a B.
B. Okay.
Yeah. You want to start with Philadelphia?
Yeah. All right. So what I'm gonna say, of course, is AJ Brown, huge move there. Howie Roseman's really turning it around the last offseason or two after that disastrous 2020 draft. You picked Devontae Smith to help out his young QB and Jalen Hurts. Traded for a top 10 receiver, in my opinion. AJ Brown help out Hurts too. The Cam Jurgens pick is kind of like a developmentary pick. He'll sit this year probably, but upside is there. And then the best pick of the draft, they got Nakobe Dean. If he's healthy, he can probably be an all-pro, in my opinion. He's an
I have
absolute.
no idea how he fell to round 3.
Yes, I get injury concerns. Like there are some players taking over him that like it blew my mind. Like Brian Asamoah. Like I don't get some of the people taking over him, and it wasn't perfect for the Eagles, but I'll give them an A.
I'll give him a B plus.
What could have been better?
They're later rounds.
Miami. You'll start with Miami.
Miami. They only had 4 picks in this draft, and they didn't do great with it.
They passed on Leo Chenal, which was kind of a head scratcher, and they took a linebacker.
Channing Tindall. And they drafted a QB with their 7th round pick, but whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Skylar Thompson, and they have a good backup already in Teddy. So
I'm gonna give them a C.
I'll give them a C minus, just because like they could have like they.
I know they didn't have much, but
All right, I'll start with this one, and this is really interesting because like there are really 2 ways you could look at this draft. Like Pickett's going to be the savior of this team, or Pickett or Pickett's not going to be this guy, and like I'm kind of in between on them, but like I'll give Tomlin and I'll give Tomlin and them the benefit of the doubt here in Colburn in this last draft, but it was not a perfect draft by any means. DeMarvin Leal, I didn't love. I love the Pickens pick. I like the Calvin Austin pick, but other than that, they could have done a bit more. I'll give them a B minus.
I'll give them a C plus.
Did you like the Kenny Pickett pick?
I did, yeah. New England.
All right, go ahead.
You want to do it? They're your main rival.
Yeah, I'll start. Look, what has to be said? This is the worst draft class in the NFL this year, and they're gonna receive a failing grade because of that. Like really, like obviously the Cole Strange pick was awful. He was an F pick. Tyquan Thornton was a D minus D pick. Like he's only speed. And then Bailey Zapp in the 4th round. Like you really take him over someone like a Darian Beavers or something like that. Like that just does not make sense at all. They picked another running back. This is just a dud by Belichick.
I'm gonna give him a D.
D. Okay. Did you like any of their picks?
I didn't.
You didn't? Yeah. The reason why I give them an F is a lot because of that Bailey Zapp pick. I just don't, just does not make sense to me whatsoever.
Las Vegas.
I forget who they picked in the.
Well, they didn't have a first round pick because of Devontae Adams. They didn't really do much. They got a running back and they upgraded their offensive and defensive line. That's it.
Yeah, with some depth, but it's a C- for me. But they did get Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones in the
I'll
offseason.
give them a C. They didn't really do much. They didn't really need to do much.
Exactly. Arizona. I'll start here and like I get Hopkins was suspended, but I still wouldn't trade a first for Hollywood Brown. Like he's too inconsistent of a player.
Well, they're banking on him performing well with Kyler like he did in college.
Yeah, but like I don't see him being like a top 20 receiver, which is worthy of a first round pick in my opinion.
Other than that, their
I-
first pick was a tight end, which kind of confused me.
It's kind of strange to me. Like I like
Granted, said he was the best tight end there.
I love Trey McBride as a prospect, but the fit it's kind of a weird pick. Otherwise, I think they did fine. They didn't really have much else to spend, but it wasn't
I'll
bad.
give him a C plus.
I'll give them a C. Give them a C plus too. All right, you start with the division rivals for you guys.
Dallas Cowboys. Honestly, their draft was okay. Tyler Smith was a reach.
A bit of a reach, but I think like if he develops well,
I think it was a necessary reach for Dallas.
Yeah. Sam Williams, if he can behave and like be himself, he can be a star in my
That's
opinion.
such a Cowboys pick.
I know, like it reminds me a lot of the Kelvin Joseph pick a year ago.
Jalen Tolbert's pretty good.
Jake Ferguson, I don't really get that pick.
Other than that, all right.
I'll give it a B-.
I'll give it a C plus.
All right. I'll go because it's a division rival here. Buffalo Bills. Elam with their first pick. I would have gone Booth here, but don't get me wrong. Elam is a fantastic player and a big cornerback 2 need was necessary for them, and they got it done. Don't love the James White pick, but at the end,
James Cook.
Yeah, James Cook. But at the end of the day, they're a stacked team. They didn't have any needs, so and they got the best, and they got Punkot. So
They did get Punkot.
Matter either. I'll give them a B.
I'll give him a B.
All right.
Tennessee. They got Traylon Burks to replace AJ Brown. They've got Malik Willis and Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Oh, forgot about the Pretty Fair pick, but
And they got Roger McCreary when they could have had Andrew Booth. But I'm not going to complain. Hassan Haskins is an interesting pick for me.
he's a solid backup, but like it's kind of a strange fit.
Other than that, I don't have much to say. I'm going to give it a B.
I'm gonna give it. You might be shocked by this grade, but I think this team's direction is completely going the wrong way, and I think that they're not making the right moves. Like overall, like trading AJ Brown might have been necessary, and like I like the Malik Willis pick, but like they seem to be like stuck kind of. I'll give them a B too, but like I don't like the direction they're headed in.
Tampa Bay. Their first pick was in the second round. They took Logan Hall, which all right. And then they didn't really do much about the offensive line, especially at guard.
They didn't replace Alex Cabba or Ali Marpet, which kind of concerns me, but it is Tom Brady at the same time, and I think he'll be fine.
They'll figure it out. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I'll give them a C plus. All right, Green
Green
Bay.
Bay. They had 2 first-round picks.
Mhm.
Since all of the good receivers were off the board, I don't mind that they went defense here with both of them.
I don't mind it either, but like Quay Walker is not the player. I would have gone Devin Lloyd here if they wanted to go linebacker.
Christian Watson was a good get in the second round.
He's like an A plus pick for me. He's probably my pick to win offensive rookie of the year.
Sean Ryan was a pretty good pick in the third round.
I like the who else? Oh, the fifth. Who's the safety? I think did they take a safety?
Oh, they did not.
Yeah, that's kind of I would have gone like kind of a rotational safety cornerback here. But it was a fine draft. I'll give them a B.
I'll give them a B minus. San Francisco. They did not have a first round pick because of trading up to get Trey Lance last year. So their first pick was Drake Jackson. Pretty good.
He's a stud in my opinion. I think he's gonna have a day one impact across from opposite Bosa.
And then they went primarily offense. And they got Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy in the last pick.
Brock Purdy, what would you give them?
I'll give it a C plus.
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't get taking a running back in the third round when you have Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon, Jeff Wilson, Hasty.
Did they ever use Trey Sermon last?
Not really, and they should have. Like Elijah Mitchell, like I love Mitchell. Don't get me wrong, but his workload is really heavy for a rookie.
He's gonna turn him into a stud. Watch.
Yeah, probably. I'll give them a C minus for now, though.
This Kansas City Chiefs. They had 2 first round picks and they went both defense. Both in positions of need for them. And I do love the Sky Moore pick in the second round.
He's gonna have a day one impact there, and I really think
I think in a couple of years he'll turn into their new number 1.
I think this year, like towards the end of the year, he'll emerge as the best receiver there.
I'm gonna give them a B. Yeah, B sounds good.
You know, George Karlaftis, I was a big fan of. Trent McDuffie, I was a big fan of. They got
I do like Brian Cook.
I love Brian Cook. Love that pick. They got Leo Chanel, which I love. And I'm gonna give this draft an A. They knocked it out of the park. Kudos to them.
Actually, I'm gonna give them B plus. Cincinnati, they didn't have to do too much.
Because they upgraded the O-line in free agency.
And I like that I like Daxton Hill. But they didn't really go after any of their big needs. I would rather them have gotten Booth or have gotten someone else. Overall, I think all their picks outside of Cordell Volson was defense, including 3 safeties.
What'd you give them?
I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I'll give it a C plus. Give it a C plus just because I love the Michigan kid Daxton Hill. Zachary Carter could become a solid rotational piece too, and they didn't need much.
The Los Angeles Rams. Can you put as my draft grade? We don't care because the Rams don't really care about the draft picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that too. But I like the Kyron Williams pick. All right, and now I'll do mine first, but we'll just say it here. My favorite pick in the entire draft, even though I didn't love this team's draft overall, I gotta go with Sam Howell to Washington. Like if Wentz goes down, I think he can be real solid for them. The worst pick in the draft, Cole Strange.
My best pick is Kayvon Thibodeau to New York. He's
Figures.
gonna thrive in New York.
He's gonna do great under
I don't care if it makes me look biased.
no, like Wink is gonna develop him to something special. Trust me.
And my worst pick was also Cole Strange.
All right. So with that, this will conclude our episode, this double NFL podcast. We'll be back next week with some power rankings.
And the schedule release.
Oh yes. Actually, do you want to go live for the schedule release?
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, I'm down.